JBNN, we keep you informed. Two men charged with the murder of Excelsior Vice Principal. Two men have been arrested and charged with the April 9, 2020 murder of 53-year-old Colleen Walker, former Vice Principal of Excelsior High School. Charged are 33-year-old Randy Raymond, otherwise called Teacher, of no fixed address, and a 31-year-old Michael Small, otherwise called Howard, a truck driver of New Haven, Kingston 20. They are charged with murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and illegal possession of firearm and ammunition. Police reports are that about 5:15 p.m., Walker was attending to flowers at her home located in Queensberry, Kingston 19, when she was attacked by a gunman who shot her multiple times to the upper body. She was taken to hospital where she was pronounced dead. The police said charges come after extensive and coordinated investigations were carried out by detectives assigned to the St. Andrew South Police Division and the Jamaica Constabulary Forces Communication Forensics and the Cybercrime Division. The men are to appear before the courts at a later date. Motorcyclist injured following crash during Central Manchester drive-through. A 33-year-old motorcyclist who was part of a motorcade of Jamaica Labour Party JLP supporters yesterday in Central Manchester is nursing head injuries after crashing in content in the constituency. Confirming the incident, head of the Manchester Police Division, Superintendent Gary Francis, said preliminary information suggests that the motorcycle crashed into a Nissan Skyline motor car while overtaking another vehicle that was in a similar process on the Content Main Road. Francis said the incident happened sometime after 3 p.m. while the bike was heading towards Christiana. The car was coming from the opposite direction. As far as I know, the motorcade would be coming in the opposite direction, the direction he was heading, said Superintendent Francis, referring to a drive-through led by Prime Minister Andrew Holness in the Central Manchester constituency. The man was rushed to the Mandeville Regional Hospital and up to 7 p.m. was not speaking. One of two sisters at the hospital said they requested that their names not be mentioned. There were no other reports of injuries. A video being circulated online in which the sisters identified their brother showed him being assisted into a taxi by several people clad in Jamaica Labour Party branded outfits while others lined the street side. The sisters, who were at the hospital, said they got a call around 3:30 from a relative who was in the motorcade and arrived at the hospital around 4 p.m. They said no representative of the JLP campaign team visited the hospital or checked on their brother's status. From me down here until now, me not see no representative. Me feel very bad about it. No matter if a motorcade, me know them know say accident, cause police come over here for take statement, one said, adding that doctors indicated that their brother was not responding and so could not be interviewed at the time. Right now, he made mash up. Me go in there and see the doctor stitch him up. Despite a ban triggered by COVID-19 concerns, several motorcades have been formed in the constituency in support of Rhoda Crawford, who is seeking to unseat Peter Bunting of the People's National Party. At an emergency press briefing on Friday over the spiking cases, Holness said candidates would only be allowed what he termed a drive-through in constituencies accompanied by just 2 coaster buses with no more than 15 persons each. Those were not observed during yesterday's events. Last week, there were also reports of motor vehicle crashes and injuries following supporters of both main political parties during nomination day activities. Election spike. Jamaica to see surge in COVID-19 cases in the wake of polls, warns medic. Jamaica should brace for an even greater spread of COVID-19 following the September 3 general election. The ominous warning came yesterday from Dr. Alfred Dawes, medical director at Windsor Wellness Center and Cariva Medical Limited, as he cautioned election campaigners against politicizing the COVID-19 pandemic. We need the COVID-19 vaccine to be distributed free of cost to all Jamaicans, but this should not be in an effort to gain votes, but to ensure that the population can be protected from the ravages of the coronavirus and allow the economy to reopen fully, said Dawes, as he urged Jamaicans to be extra vigilant during the election campaign season. On or about September 17, we will start to see a massive spike in cases due to the activities of the election campaign. Why do I say that? Because America was getting it under control, and then the George Floyd protest started. 2 weeks after that, they have the massive surge in cases, and they were never able to contain it again, he argued. Even though we have curtailed activities now, on election day, you're going to have people coming out from all over, and then there's going to be a massive spike, he said, adding that like in the protest in the United States, the local election will draw large crowds together, which is exactly what you want to avoid. Up to Friday night, Jamaica had recorded a total of 1,346 COVID-19 cases and 16 deaths. The latest victim is a 69-year-old woman. The health minister said 4 patients were critically ill and 7 persons in moderate condition. There were 471 active cases and 788 recoveries. That concern is shared by public defender Arlene Harrison Henry, who yesterday noted the disregard for some COVID-19 protocols on the campaign trail. It is observed that since the announcement of the date of election, there have been a number of motorcades, rallies, and a general jollification across the island, and with reckless abandon of all COVID-19 protocols in both political camps, thereby facilitating the continued exponential increase in the rate of infection. This is undeniably to the detriment to the health of us all, she said in a release. The most recent spikes have been attributed to the celebration and other activities related to emancipation and independence holidays. Similarly, it is anticipated that the next surge will be as a result of nomination activities. On that trajectory, yet another is in the making after the general election, Harrison Henry added. Last week, Director of Elections Glasspool Brown outlined a raft of measures to be undertaken at polling stations across the island to minimize the spread of the disease. These include enforcing current social distancing protocols, mask wearing, and the sanitizing of pencils and other utensils after each use. He said the care of elderly voters will also be a priority on election day. In spite of this, the coronavirus will be a candidate on election day, opinioned Raymond Price, People's National Party PNP candidate for St. Catherine East Central and whose campaign Dawes manages. COVID-19 is a third candidate on every ballot, and in those cases where you have independent candidate, it is the fourth candidate. Money that you would have traditionally spent on t-shirts and those things, we have included a line item on our recurrent budget for hand sanitizers and masks, he said, adding also that novel measures will have to be taken to ensure the turnout and the protection of more vulnerable voters. It would have been nice if the Electoral Office of Jamaica, recognizing that the elections are being held in the wake of the COVID-19 epidemic, would have put a special system in place for voters above 65. Just as how you have election day workers voting on a particular day, it is within the remit of the EOJ to have made a determination that voters over 65 can come out on a fixed day. That way, they'll not have the pressure of being in the line with everybody else, Price said. At 47.72%, the 2016 election recorded the lowest voter turnout since independence, with the exception of the 1983 election, which was boycotted by the PNP. Last week, voter turnout was a common concern for candidates who fear the pandemic could scare the electorate. Still, some diehard supporters, including elderly voters, said they would not be deterred from exercising their right. Brown stayed far from predicting voter turnout in the face of COVID-19, saying that would be based on how motivated voters are. Trinidad and Tobago has been grappling with a spike in COVID-19 cases in the wake of their general election held earlier this month. In the aftermath of the polls, the technical director of the Epidemiology Division at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Avery Hines, warned that Trinidad and Tobago should brace on an upsurge in coronavirus cases, given the increased movement of people over the campaign period. Like in Jamaica, there have been multiple complaints during the campaign of people not adhering to the various protocols put in place to prevent the spread of the virus that was first detected in China last December. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment, and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.